greatest Batman movies.
Which? Oh, that guy.
Bane!
Hey.
Hi. What can I say? Can I get that? Can I get the big lion chair? Has anyone grabbed it
Lion
yet?
throne, baby. It's all you. Is Poshy coming?
Yeah, I think she is.
Well, then you'll have to squeeze her on there.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah, right? Much more fun than anything else.
Does anyone need paper?
Oh, man, I do.
Everybody have papers?
Yeah. Anyone else? Paper?
Hi. Are you getting out and hiking in the green? It's very lovely right now.
Maybe tomorrow. Hiking on the green. Maybe we'll all try to get in Sarah's car.
Thanks. I'm
Cannot think you ready though?
Sorry, she knows people are going to be doing all healing sound.
Did you want one?
No, thank you. I'll touch.
Ava's
And a
left
little
on
bit
top
cheap.
drops while she does ceremony work.
I know, I usually sit over there. I thought I'd switch.
I usually do. I usually sit over there too. So
Alright.
did you care for one?
While you're semi-apple, you might as well take that first thing.
I'm personal.
Alright. Like the great Jim Morrison said, is everybody in?
Let the ceremony begin.
Oh, damn. Okay, so here's your syllabus. I suggest writing it down if you want to use the advanced learning techniques that have been passed down for like 3,000 years. Wait, Tibet's only had universities for about 1,000 years of Tibetan monastic education. The first job is memorize the table of contents, according to them. Now, I don't think that this work is so sacred that like you should memorize the table of contents, but I think a great way to remember stuff is to realize that your brain loves to put stuff into categories, and if you create those categories beforehand, then even if I'll try to be a teacher who teaches to these categories somewhat sequentially, as sequentially as you can do with Chinese inner body stuff, which is not very sequentially at all, but I'm going to do my best. But even if you don't have a teacher who teaches to that sequentially, your brain has the capacity to put it into those categories, and then that makes retrieval easier later, just like a good filing system in your own physical household with files and stuff. So this is our syllabus today. Let's just roll through it quickly. By the way, this is being filmed, so if you don't want your face on the camera, then don't walk in my dance space. This is my dance space. This is your dance space. Okay? Okay. So today's course is called Advanced Inner Alchemy, but I have designed it in a way that people who haven't taken other courses with me can come. We'll mostly be doing, and I try to design a lot of my courses this way so that nobody's excluded, because I get the message. I went and taught at my teacher's studio last month, which was really a privilege. And if you want an excuse to come to Vegas on May 17th, I'll be teaching there next month as well. A course on meridian yoga and qigong acupressure point stuff. And, but he was like, okay, well, you scheduled the next course. I'm like, yeah. Okay, well, you know what their next question is going to be. Is it too late? Can I still get in? So I tried to design all 12 of those courses where you could like just come and learn something. And then, but if you have the preliminary training, then it becomes advanced because you can stack that on. And there are certain things that traditionally they call self-secret. You should learn this term. I think it's actually in the Tao Te Ching. Today we'll be talking about some things which are handed down through esoteric Taoist schools of mystic lore and etc. And the thing about those is like sometimes I was reading one translator, Thomas Cleary, is a great translator, but as far as I know, he's not a mystic, so sometimes he translates things down a little bit. Like you can tell, I'm still working on learning Chinese, but you can tell people tend to translate from their bias. So if you get a Taoist, you know, who's like believes that people can fly through the sky and shoot purple light out of their eyebrows or something, then they'll translate things as like, and then you fly through the sky and shoot purple light out of your eyebrows. And if the person is more on the like Western University trained kind of front, then they'll translate things, and then you'll move the psycho-spiritual energy and regulate your emotional capacities and this and that and the other stuff. Oh crap, where was I going with that? But he translated, he called it Daoist Freemasonry, and I kind of like that. Like it's kind of like an old British translation idiom, you know, esoterica and Freemasonry. If any of you are Masons in the room, don't worry, don't tell me. It's a secret. But so there was this idea, and there is this idea in some of these old Taoist schools. It's like you get your initiation, and it's like, okay, now, don't talk about this ever. This guy, he gonna get you. And there are all of these reasons for this. One, in the yogic schools, they say that you're supposed to keep things secret in order to protect other people from them. Because some of the techniques that we'll be learning today are harmful, and I will try to tell you the ones that you shouldn't attempt without having my email address, or you know, I can give you, if you don't like me by the end of the class today, I can give you the email address of someone that you might like instead. But because you can actually fry your brain on some of these techniques, you know, they're secret, meaning you have to have a teacher. Not because the teacher is like especially holier than thou or something like that, but because they know the tricks. Like if your brain starts to fry, like, oh, here's how you cool that off real quick. But there's another element to which the things are self-secret. Like if all of you, because I know all of you, that's kind of pleasant, have had experience with subtle energy. Like if I say like, oh yeah, remember, have you felt your subtle energy do this and that? Like maybe you haven't felt what I'm asking you about, but you're not going to go like, subtle energy? What the hell are you talking about, bro? Like I didn't see that on Science Friday and VR, you know. So there's a certain degree to which you can't even talk about certain things to specific populations of people without a certain amount of preparation, and so it's a self-secret tradition. So in that sense, hopefully, there will be some things that I say today that those of you who went through 1 or 12 of the previous courses that I've taught right in this very room, you'll go like, oh my god, that goes right with this, and then it hooks together like that, and wow, this changes everything, bro. You know, and others of you will probably hear the same thing and be like, oh, that sounds cool. Think I should practice that? But next year, after you did all the preliminaries, you should practice that. So it's self-secret like that. So hopefully it'll be an advanced class and a basic class all at the same time, and everyone will have fun and we'll get a lot of it. And if not, you can have your money back. This class is by donation. You can put a donation anonymously in that little sound bowl over there, and that's appreciated, and it helps keep this spot here where we give classes. Okay, so on our roster for today is a review of basic methods, which are the inner smile, the 6 healing sounds, and the microcosmic orbit. Bum, bum, bum. Microcosmic orbit, also sometimes known as the small heavenly circulation. Also sometimes known as the path of the water wheel. Path of the water wheel. If you want to read a sort of historico-scholarly presentation with real lineage transmission, you can get that book over there by Dr. Yang Hui called Qigong Meditation, Small Circulation. It's the one with the red cover. Somehow it got moldy. I think it was in a car that I had that leaked or something like that, but you're still welcome to look through it. Just don't sneeze on it too much. The mold gets in your nose. And so big subject, small circulation, we're going to touch on it today. And then if you want more of those, so we're just going to go through those meditations here together in class. We're just going to do them for a review. And then if you want to learn everything behind them and like, well, how many of this sound should I do if I have liver chi stagnation? And how many should I not do if I have spleen deficiency? Then you go onto my website in the videos section and you look up module 1 and you take 6 hours worth of didactic instruction, plus a 70-some-odd page book, and then there are homework assignments and things like that that you can play with. But you can just absorb all that information that way. It's not lost to you. Okay. Then once we've learned that, we will learn an advanced practice with the healing sounds. So 6 healing sounds are what we learn in Qigong 1, and then there are another set of healing sounds that specifically are used for cancer. So for those of you who have asking me, I got this patient with cancer, can I start to treat them? My answer is still no. But if you do all the courses this year and turn in all your homeworks, then the answer becomes yes. Why? Well, we'll get into that a little bit in this afternoon. Let's skip to this afternoon, which says dual cultivation. And dual cultivation means about 1 billion things in traditional Taoism, and we'll mention like 3 of what that means. But one of the things that dual cultivation means is taking a partner and using the natural exchange of energy that happens in partnership to fuel your spiritual growth, as well as using some specific exercises between you and a chosen partner, whether that's your mate or the monk from the next monastery over, or there are different ways this has been practiced historically. But one of the things that you notice is that the energy that you tend to hang around with is the energy that you slowly turn yourself into. Have you ever noticed this? Right? So if you haven't noticed this, your homework is go out and find one of your acquaintances who, they're nice enough. Do you have any acquaintances who are nice enough? Okay. And then, live with them for about 3 months.
That's our homework.
Yeah, don't actually do that, but your hypothetical homework.
That's for the next week.
Yeah, live with them for a few months in the next week, and it'll feel like that. And you'll notice that there's a certain spiritual level that you can get to where the energy of other people doesn't affect you, and you actually become the gravitational force that just pulls them up, and it's it doesn't really matter what you've got, I'm gonna pull you up. But at the same time, those people generally don't invite their sort of alright acquaintances to be their housemate. Right? They grew, in their process of spiritual evolution, they grew a better set of boundaries than that, so they don't even have that problem. But if they did, they would magnetize them up. But for most of us, right, you start to, against your best efforts, you start to adopt some of the patterns of that person, and sometimes you adopt them through attempting to guard yourself against the patterns of that person, right? And you then turn into the reciprocal, which is basically, like the yin or yang match of them, i.e. them. So it's this interesting thing. So then when we talk about medical Qigong and the treatment of things like cancer, the idea is that that's a very strong energy field. In order to make a tumor in your body, that requires some effort. Well, sort of. We also have this slogan, negative energy will grow on its own, positive energy must be cultivated. So it doesn't feel like it requires effort, but you have to practice mental afflictions for quite a while to grow a tumor. Or you have to be exposed to some harsh, external toxic energy usually in the form of heat pathogen or something like that. And so what a lot of Qigong doctors find is that, as a first-year medical Qigong practitioner, you're pretty damn shiny when it comes to the common cold, and you're pretty awesome. You don't get triggered anymore by, oh, this person's relationship dynamics that they're asking me to help them clear. Those look just like mine 2 years ago. Cool. And you just kind of let it go. You still occasionally, you're cleaning out a very murky liver and you're like, why am I so mad? Oh, wait, right. That's better. But it's like Luke Skywalker going up against Darth Vader. And if you never saw the earlier Star Wars movies, then you're too young to ride this ride.
You're
You should-
definitely
you
not
should-
56 centimeters tall.
You have to watch them, and then you have to watch the Power of Myth special with Joseph Campbell on PBS that you can get on disc from Netflix or something like that. And then you'll know why it's not, because like my holy, beautiful fiance, she's like, oh yeah, I saw those. I wasn't too impressed.
With what, Star Wars?
But it's a different era, you know. It doesn't fit anymore with the consciousness, right? You know, like Matrix is almost gone. You know, and so then they'll have to, you know. So now we have to use like Avatar. You know, like is a pretty good one for like how your mind projects your reality and different stuff you can do with it. Anyway, so it's kind of like, you know, Yoda's like, go face Vader. See, I can actually kind of do it today. Never underestimate the power of the dark side. You know, and when working with cancer, what our teacher said is like, wait till your third year. You know, of doing your personal cultivation, medical qigong, of like learning how to flick qi off of your body, because you would be surprised at how much energy, either from an external force. I don't fall into the camp necessarily. A lot of medical qigong oncology theory is in the camp that like, well, guess your emotional body's fucked. You made this cancer. I don't think that's very nice personally, but in many cases there is a strong. It's not that the person. Right, we could go to Buddhist class for that, but it's not like, you know, you're a real person and you've chosen to have these crappy emotions. Like if you could choose, you would choose happiness, right? And you would choose health, right? But because you're not a real person, you're a bunch of heaps. You know, there's, you know, your subconscious and your superconscious and your id and your ego, you know, and your archetypal thing, and then your body stuff, and then you paint me on that. You know, all that stuff in there is doing its own thing, you know, and some of those things that, you know, got trained in childhood, like everybody's out to get me, I'm a piece of crap, you know, whatever it was, those things will ball up and form a mass of tissue. And those emotional energies are much stronger than your average, ordinary, I've got a little heart palpitation, emotional energies. So you just have to be kind of aware. So the healing sounds that we'll do today, I guess I'm giving you the whole introduction to them now. The healing sounds that we're doing today are more like the chemo healing sounds. The ones that we did in the level 1 version of this class are more like, you know, antibiotics, something like that. Well, only healthy, they don't destroy your gut flora. But used incorrectly, they'll harm your health just like anything else. Qigong is just like Chinese herbalism, you know, because it's natural doesn't mean you can just like use it indiscriminately. Then, you know, I haven't blabbed the day away. We will study a formula called Fusion of the 5 Elements and the 8 Forces. And I think the one I'll teach you today, we'll see what happens actually. I think the one that I'll teach you today is stolen from Master Mantak Chia. And I'll tell you right away, I wasn't certified to teach that meditation by him. I was certified to teach some other meditations by him. But his is pretty cool, so we're going to do it. And it actually matches a meditation that's in the Ling Shu. So I kind of feel like I just sort of took that from him and put it right in, you know, what I learned from him. So I hope you don't mind using stolen technology. Like you could own a Qigong exercise.
Patent things around here.
Oh, right. But we could, you know, we're going to tweak that Bikram sequence just enough to say it's a Qigong set. Okay, and then the reason we're going to do that version is because we'll use the energy that cultivates to open the extraordinary vessels. So there are, in Taoism, and I can maybe give you some resources to look this up, many of you know there are the Ren Mai and the Du Mai and the Dai Mai and the Chong Mai. Those are easy. And then you've got the Yang and Yin Chao Mai and the Yin and Yang Wei Mai, and you're like, wait, what the hell? It goes to the, which one goes to the inner ankle and which one, because wait, they both go to the foot, but then some people say that the Wei Mai goes to the arm and others don't, and Kiko Matsumoto said this, but that other guy whose name I can't even remember said this other thing. You know, they're a little bit confusing. And it's because, to a large degree, the 8 extraordinary vessels are studied much more in Daoist mysticism than they are in Chinese medicine. Chinese medicine does a lot with the 12 regular channels. Have you noticed this, TCM students, right? Then it's like 8 extraordinary vessels. You know, there's like a little chapter in the end of Machiocha, like, here's the 8 extraordinary vessels chapter. But if you look into like Li Shizhen, you know Li Shizhen? Famous Pulse Classic dude, famous pediatrics dude, and famous 8 Extraordinary Vessels dude. And the reason he's a famous 8 Extraordinary Vessels dude is because he was a Taoist, right? So he's meditating on opening up the Duamai and the Renmai and opening up the Chonmai with his internal meditation. And then he wrote this big book. Is his book called the Mai Jing? I think it's called the Mai Jing. Li, L-I, Shi, S-H-I, Zhen, Z-H-E-N, I think. So his book comes out of his training as a Chinese medical doctor, but also his training in Taoist monasteries. So that's sort of part of the sales pitch for today's class, especially because a lot of you are healers of some variety or another. Classically, like some of the best doctors of traditional Chinese medicine, Hua Tuo, Sun Simiao, Li Shizhen, Huang Di, and his whole posse, you know, all of these guys are claimed by the Taoist schools as mystics. And the theory behind that, now that we're out of year 1 and you came to a year 2 class, I can just tell you straight up, you know, the way they figured out where all those meridians and stuff are was through doing meditation, right? You sit, and if you know, just go on a Vipassana retreat or something like that. Like, get yourself Jack Kornfield's book, read through it, go to Spirit Rock, and like sit for 10 days and don't do anything else. And you will feel some energy, right? Right? You will feel, the minute you stop going like this every time you get an impulse to, you start to feel the subtle energy that precedes that impulse, you know? And then you can withdraw from that and you start to feel like really cool, nifty stuff. And then they say, but once you stop expending that energy by giving into it, that energy starts to cultivate. And one of the few reasons that a lot of people haven't felt subtle energy in their life is because they just don't have enough. The 2 big reasons are either, number 1, you don't shut up for long enough, sit down and shut up, or you don't have enough subtle energy, right? So if you want to feel more, if you want to take a Tai Chi class and like feel the energy, you need to shut up, sit down, and then you need to like my big one, I'll just admit to all of you, is losing subtle energy through diet, right? So like, you can practice Qigong all day, and if you don't sleep and eat correctly, like, you won't get the surplus of energy that makes your Tai Chi feel like you're swimming within the waves of the Tao or something like that. Other people, they sleep and eat correctly, but they never do any Qigong practice or meditate, you know. So all of these things sort of have to come together. So, opening the 8 extraordinary vessels, why are we going through all that? Because you could get really complicated about it, and there are schools that say, oh yeah, well, we're going to do this line down here, and then it's going to jig-jag over here, and then it has a low point over here. We ain't going to do that. That sucks. That's boring. Bless you. But we are going to learn this thing called the macrocosmic orbit. So if you want to write down under opening the extraordinary vessels, you can put quote-unquote macrocosmic orbit. And just a little intro to that while we're all sitting and getting settled, so we don't try to do chi exercises while we're still not quite here yet. One of my students I'm expecting is physically not here yet, so I'm kind of waiting for her to. So what's a microcosm?
Small version of something.
Cosmos, yeah, it's a small universe. So that microcosm is one way that they translate the Chinese, which means small heavenly circulation. And the pathway of qi through the Ren and the Dumai is supposed to follow the sun traveling through the constellations of the sky. So if you study traditional Chinese Kung Fu, you know, there are spots in which you can hit a person at certain points of certain times of day, which are more harmful to them than others. If you study, like, there's like a 9-star astrology acupuncture style, and there are specific times when certain points are open and certain points are closed according to that. I don't have a lot of experience with that, but you guys who are in school or have access to like Holly Guzman or something like that can probably, or Narie, is that what it is?
Mary.
Neri?
I know, it's spelled funny.
Yeah, I like to I like my version better.
I did too. I
It's
called
more
her
kind of
Nari
like
for the longest
Sufi or
time.
something.
I think it's actually an Irish name.
Oh, Natty!
Yeah.
Oh! Touch everything.
Yeah.
So, anyway, you could find out about these type of treatment methods. You know, and you calculate. Sometimes they calculate with the person's birthday and all kinds of complicated things.
This is
Anyway.
while you're fighting them, you're doing all these calculations?
No, that one's just for
acupuncture.
therapy. For fighting, it's like, oh, it's 12 o'clock. Hit him in the heart. Though they do have. We still have a little time. I can blab at you a little more. There are some fighting systems where they try to hit I don't actually know this one very well myself, but they try to hit the meridians in order of like the 5-element destructive pattern, in order to mess up the chi in that way. What really tends to happen in my right. Then you really learn it, It's like, I can't memorize these things. You know it now. Could have just told me Fenwa Woo. In actual practice, what often tends to happen is, like, I was a full-time shiatsu guy for about 3 years or something like that, and it gives you just 3 years. Like, to me now, that's like, oh, that's not a lot of experience doing full-time shiatsu. But the practice of shiatsu is just feeling which meridian is empty, which meridian is full, dancing your way through the whole channel and finding which points on the channel are empty, which points are on the channel are full, and then later actually feeling through the channel to the internal organs and finding out like what effect your pressure and your mind state is having on the organ of the person, and seeing their pulse change, seeing their symptoms change. It's really cool. But what you find with that or other kinds of disciplines, I bet you could do it with needle therapy over time, is that you start to sense like, oh, lung 5 is really empty. Like you're reaching for the pulse and it's like, oh, lung 5, help me. And so that actually happens during in like internal martial arts. Some practitioners, they'll scan and they'll actually find the weak spots like in your aura or on the points on your body, and that's where the strikes sort of get magnetized to. So fun. There's applications for everything. I tend to use it in what to cook for dinner nowadays, but find that's much more practical actually. It really worked last night, right? Really?
It's true.
Yeah.
It's magical.
God
Did
told me what to
magical
cook.
there.
It's amazing.
I think so.
Uh,
Rockin' easy.
But it was awesome. Okay, then finally, we still haven't finished this one. So microcosmic means the small universe inside your body, right? Big universe, small universe. Big universe, small universe. Hey, thank you. Gosh, we got like a bun like a teacher. I should hire you for and there's this, since we're in advanced class, I can tell you, I probably told you in class 1, but in all of these esoteric traditions, they feel that the big universe is a reflection of your small universe. So if you change the energy circulation in this body, you'll change everything, right? So that's pretty cool, And then don't go crazy, think I created the whole universe, because you is also a creation, right? So it's like, oh, right, you don't have to be all lonely, because you don't even exist either. So, the whole thing, you could think God created it, but like God's your secret face, behind the heaps or something, I don't know. So when we do opening the extraordinary vessels or the microcosmic circulation, it means generally 2 things. It's called macrocosmic because now you're circulating chi through the whole body. So you're going to use roots for your arms and your legs. But it also means that you're going to be exchanging chi between your little universe and elements in the environment outside. So opening the roots down into the legs is mostly useful because it connects you more strongly with the energy of the earth. Opening the roots down into the arms is mostly useful because it connects you to the Daoist power of the humankind realm, which means rocks and animals and grandmother spirits living on this plane, and whoever else you are ready to believe exists and you can contact with. That's what they call human, right? Like in many native traditions, there are stone people And, star people, they're all people. This is Chinese character for people, right? So that's the people realm. The three powers: heaven, earth, and people. So, and then opening up roots into the head, which we probably won't do today, opens you up to this one. So you can exchange energy with the stars, with plants, with the earthly 5 elements, with the heavenly 5 elements, with the middle level 5 elements. So that's kind of the idea of that. And then other fun things happen in that is that you can, when you have these practices, it makes it easier to route energy to your hands. Like if you're a healer or a martial artist or something like that, you can use your E, your mental intention. Does everybody know this term? E? Mental intention. Why? I. It's the spirit associated with your speed. And if you need to know about that, go into my video archive online at lingqidaos.com/videos. Look up module 5, I think, which is like an esoteric view of the 5 elements of Chinese medicine, and really quite fun. I'm very impressed with myself. So you can the more you practice using your E to lead your Qi, the more ability you will have to use your E to lead your Qi. Right? So if you want to lead it to your hands, no problem, you do that every morning. If you want to lead it, as a tiny pearl out through the top of your head, which turns into the spirit body, which does cool stuff, no problem. You do that like once every full moon or something like that. Okay, cool? Yeah. Sound like fun? I know, it actually went out of the top of my head. It's kind of trippy. Makes it hard to teach a class. Because what you imagine happens is a weird thing. And oddly, this is just a total aside, it has nothing to do with the curriculum, but oddly, the less stress you put on making your visualizations real, the more potent they tend to be. So I have some of my worst, best Qigong experiences, like while I'm in class, and then you pop out of your body and do this thing, like, whoa, hold on, back in your body, buddy, how the hell did that happen? And I'm sitting on my cushion at night, I'm like, okay, pop out of your body, go. Nope, okay. Wait, oh yeah, right. Okay, what was it in Qigong class? And then you pop out of your body. Oh! So, this is a little secret key. And then dual cultivation, we already talked about, means a lot of things, but once you've had the preliminary of learning how to exchange qi with a tree, or your favorite amethyst crystal or something like that, then you can learn how to exchange qi with another person. Be that a person in an intimate relationship or somebody else from the Kung Fu school or something like it's really not, I think I named the class something and people are like, is this class about sex? I'm like, no, actually it's about going to the Kung Fu school and getting your friend to massage your acupressure points. Yeah, that's it. It's about bros, healing bros. Okay? don't bring your partner. Unless it's Jesse, he can come. But dual cultivation also is a term that they'll use for Daoist sexual practices, and so we'll talk about those this afternoon at around 2:15 or 2:30 when we come back from lunch. Okay. So that's all about that. Any questions, complaints, inspirations, or requests before we dive in for the day? Sounds like no. Very good. Then let us warm up our bodies by standing up, finding some room in which you can swing around your arms, but only standing in my dance space if you want to be caught on uncandid camera.
That's not drinks off the floor?
We're not really going to be spitting out too much goo, but that's always a nice idea. Yeah, Medical Qigong Academy is different than massage school. Massage school, they're like, okay, always put your drinks underneath the table, and then in Medical Qigong, you're cleaning out people's lungs, and it goes under the table and into your drink. It's not so good. Okay, one hand below the belly button, one hand on top, doesn't matter which, and bounce. Okay, you have to make your face into this specific form we call smiling. But, if you have bad early childhood experiences with that, or if that term offends you, you could call it face yoga.
Upside down.
The term is offensive.
Okay. Okay, now smile to your heart. So for me, there are a ton of people in this room who I feel deep love toward, so I can use them. But if you don't have any of them in this room, you should meet them on the break. No, you should think about somebody who naturally makes you feel like kind of shiny in your heart, who it's easy. And then imagine your heart like a beautiful sun, just kind of shining out. Feel it soft though, don't feel it like burning you or anything like that, just feel like, softly shining sun, radiating out. And feel that that glow is that feeling of love. So now let that feeling bless your whole body. All your inner organs bathed in that beautiful sunlight. If the sun feels too hot, make it a moon and a sun at the same time. So it's like silver, gold, platinum thing. But if you can do just sun, be sun. And then let it shine out through your body and bless everybody in the room. Feel how much you would like for them to be happy and have a successful class and easy time today. And if you don't feel that, then pretend that you do. God dang it. It's good for you. Okay, now smile down to your kidneys and also your reproductive organs, testes or ovaries. And then imagine in your belly, between those two organs, is a beautiful silver moon. And feel and think about something in life that you're very passionate about. Like you think about it, you're like, ugh. It might be your career or your partner or your meditation practice. And feel a little sexy. Okay? Passion is passion. Creative energy is creative energy. So feel that quality of sexiness as you smile to your kidneys, your generative organs, and that energy collects as this beautiful shining silver moon in the lower belly. Feel this moonlight blessing all of your internal organs, all your nerves and channels. It too begins to shine out through your pores. Now don't hit your classmates with a wave of your sexual energy, but bless them with that feeling of like creativity and inspiration. And then feel as if with your bouncing, the sun from your heart begins to slide down towards your belly button. The moon from your kidneys and your ovaries or testes slides toward the belly button. And these two energies fuse together. Ultimate yin and yang. Feel simultaneously deep, unconditional love, passionate, lusty, creative excitement, fusing together. The love transforms the creative energy. The creative energy fuels the loving energy. And it shines through your body like quicksilver, blessing all your nerves and channels, blessing all your organs, turning into you a new, beautiful adamantine being of quicksilver light. Then slowly come to pause. Release your hands down, standing in a Wuji posture. We'll pull down the heavens using the sound for the heart. So inhale up. Exhale with the ha sound. Two more times. Inhale. One more time. Rest. Come and take your seat softly and quietly. Come and take your seat softly. Close your eyes. Smile gently. And imagine the face of a good friend, or your guru, or your firstborn child, or your deep love is in front of you. Let a natural, loving smile blossom from your face and shine to them. Feel that in reality, they're just like a placeholder for all sentient beings, or the energy of the universe itself. So as you smile, your capacity to love grows infinitely brighter and bigger. It shines out into the entire universe, blessing all the stars and all the worlds that might surround those stars. And then this big guru, or this big lover, or this big friend shines back to you, softens your face like a gentle, warm sunlight through all your sensory organs. And then let that sunlight move into your tongue and soften your tongue. And slide down the subtle inner channel to your heart. Smile to your own heart organ. Let this energy of divine love balance it. Bless it with unconditional positive regard. Smile into your lungs. And then into your liver, just beneath the right rib cage. Every organ totally perfect. Give it your love like the perfect parent or the perfect spiritual master. Smile over to your pancreas and your spleen on the left side. Fill them with the light of your positive regard. Smile back into your kidneys. Just give them love. Smile down to the sexual organs. And then smile into your lower belly, letting the energy gather there. You can let your eyes softly open. We'll do the 6 healing sounds practice. So gathering with your hands coming to the lungs, we'll inhale. And then you press up with the sound for the lungs. Release your hands down. Inhale, gather into the lungs. Exhale. Release down. Just imagine vibrating that organ. Inhale. Shaking, loosening. Pathogenic energy. And release down. Relax for a moment. Smile to your kidneys and round your back slightly. Inhale to the kidneys. Exhale with the kidney sound. Inhale blue light to the kidneys. Blue chi to the kidneys. Relax. Relax and feel the chi. Interlace your hands, bring them overhead. Inhale to your liver. Exhale, bend to your left, opening the right side with the liver sound. Inhale to the center. Draw blue green chi to the liver. And inhale. And just release down. Inhale to the heart, hands come in. Exhale like inflating a balloon. Inhale to the heart. One more time. Release down. Interlace the hands again, arms above the head. This time we'll bend to the right. Inhale to your spleen, golden light. Exhale, bendings to the right. Use the hu sound for the spleen. Inhale, golden chi. Exhale, release down. Relax and feel the chi. Stay in a meditative mode, slowly come to a standing posture. Take your feet just to the width of the outside of your shoulders. Bend the knees slightly. Try to find 9 points of balance on your feet. So the inside of the heel and the outside of the heel. The inside of the ball of the foot, the outside of the ball of the foot. Try to hold equal pressure on all 4 of those points. Then lift up your toes and see if you can make equal pressure with each toe. Feet straight ahead. Once you've got it, sit down like you're sitting on a big dinosaur's tail. Let that slight, very slight tuck engage your lower abdomen slightly and lift your pelvic floor slightly. Let the lift of your pelvic floor press up through the crown of your head. Tongue on the roof of the mouth, face relaxed, let all the chi sink down, let the chest hollow, energy sinks down to the lower dantian. Hands hold a ball at the lower dantian. Imagine and smile upward to all the stars. Feel as if the sky is filled with a silvery light. When you inhale, you draw it through your nose and down the front channel to the belly button. When you exhale, it spirals back around to the tailbone, the small of the back, and then forward and in until it reaches the center of the belly, and the chi stores there. So the inhale draws chi down the front channel, exhale spirals it right into the center, storing the energy. Take a few more breaths like this. Silvery light from heaven down the front channel. On the exhale, it spirals in, storing in the lower dantian. Good, then let that go. Let that just happen on its own for a moment. Smile down to your feet and imagine your feet grow very relaxed and slowly drip down into the earth, turning into tree roots like a great redwood tree. Smile into the earth. So don't push your roots down there, just let them go. Mother Earth wants to hold you and take you. Allow it to happen. Drop more and more into the earth. And then feel as if your roots have come into contact with the earth's chi, which is a golden light fueled by the core, the molten heart of the earth. When you inhale, allow that golden energy to rise through your roots, through your legs, and come to your tailbone and the small of your back. When you exhale, the chi comes forward toward the navel, down toward the pelvic floor, and spirals into the center, just like heaven's chi did. So inhale draws golden chi up the legs to the tailbone, small of the back. Exhale, it spirals forward and spins until it reaches the center. Gathering Earth's chi into the lower belly, drawing it to the tailbone, the small of the back with each inhale, spiraling it into the center with each exhale. If you're at all confused about where these spirals are, just do what your imagination guides you to do for now. Then see if you can do both at the same time. So silver chi comes down from heaven, down the front channel, golden chi up the legs from earth. And then the two spiral together when you exhale, and they fuse together right in the middle of your lower abdomen. Inhale the silver and gold to the navel and the small of the back. On the exhale, spiral them together, fusing the chi of heaven and earth in your lower dantian. Imagine a beautiful, brilliant light glowing in the lower belly cauldron. Every breath you take stokes that light with the natural energy of heaven and earth. Good, and then feel that that light has grown very, very bright, and we can begin to circulate it. So watch me for the hand motions. As you inhale, you bring the light up through the spine. It goes to the top of the hands, although the hands only go to the chin. And then exhale, bring it down the front channel, back down to the belly button. Inhale to the pelvic floor, tailbone, up the spine to the crown. Exhale down the front channel. Tongue on the roof of the mouth if you can, breathing through the nose unless your nose is blocked up. Sending the chi down the front channel on the exhale, up the back channel on the inhale. Good, then slowing your breath to the appropriate pace for you. One more round. Bring the chi to the navel and then inside to your lower dantian, like there was a little cauldron right in the center of the sort of bowl of your pelvis. Slowly bring the hands in, place them on the belly. Tell the chi to stay, store in this battery of your lower dantian cauldron. And then we'll do pulling down the heavens. So starting with palms facing toward the earth. Inhale earth, inhale sky. Exhale, smooth down the 3 center channels, settle the chi in the belly, and then tie it there like a drawstring. Tell the chi to stay. Inhale, gather yin and yang. Smooth it down. Seal it there. One more time, inhale. And exhale. Good, then rub your palms. And wash the face. Comb back your hair. There's a mantra for this one. Does anybody know it already?
Dragon and
No.
forest.
No, that's the name, it's not the
Forest or
mantra.
fawns or something.
I'm so cool.
I'm so cool.
So think to yourself, it's a silent mantra. Okay, and then this one has a mantra too. It's okay. It's okay. That mantra really works. It's a good one to remember. It's okay. Okay, rock forward onto the toes, rock backwards onto the heels, and then let's have a little sit down. Okay, so that's the review of Inner Smile, 6 Healing Sounds, and the Microcosmic Orbit, Small Heavenly Circulation. Do you have good feelings to report, questions to share, or complaints to vent sort of outside somewhere? Phillips.
Just some things I always notice about my energy. It seems, maybe this is a good thing, when when spiraling into the lower Dantian, I then feel like a burst of energy kind of shooting out through me.
Yeah.
But it kind of, maybe I have the idea that it doesn't really stay there. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. And that can be a point of training for some of us,
Yeah.
is using the mind intention to train the energy to stay. So it'll be fun to watch. 2 things happen in my experience, just through my personal practice and with students. One is that the energy really is staying, but you're sort of feeling the effects of that, kind of repercussions through your channels. The other is that you're like, stay, and it's like, okay. And so it's, if your intuition is telling you it's not really staying there, one trick to this meditation, for some of you who want to try the sort of longer term cultivation with this particular meditation, is focus less on the etc. and more focus on finding exactly where the spot is in your dantian. They call it like the true dantian or something like that. The false dantian is on the front, like at Guan Yuan, Ren 4, basically, 4 sun below the navel. And then the true dantian is if you made a triangle between Ren 8 and Du 4, your belly button, the small of your back, and your perineum. The middle of that triangle, there's a little spot, and you have to search for it, you have to dig for it with your brain, or your mind, or your intuition, whatever you, I guess your brain can't actually do that. But use your intuition, and when you find it, you'll either feel a little bit of like heat, or your mind will go whoosh, or something, but there's a like, oh, that's it, that's really cool. And it almost, like, I had really kind of trouble finding that particular spot myself for a while, and then I read Barbara Brennan's second book. Was it Light Emerging? I think Light Emerging. And she talks about the Hara line. And I was like, the Hara line, come on, lady, don't be culturally appropriate. No boys energy work. Be like Hara line. And then I read the book, and I was like, oh, sorry, Barbs. And so the meditation, and basically, she's talking about like where the dantian sits in traditional Daoist alchemy. And she said something, how I'm remembering it was like 12 years ago or something, she said something along the lines of like, you have to feel into a 4th dimensional level, something like that. So it's like, physical, and then I was like, oh wait, well what if I tried to like, and what the hell does that mean? I don't really know, but it works, you know. So like I felt back into like this 4th, and instantly, you know, I was like, oh wow, there's heat, and like my mind's quiet. This is, well, it was quiet a minute ago. This is great. So just some stuff to play with. And so a lot of time when people practice, they're like, if you do it right, after about 3 months, you should get a feeling of like warmth overflowing in your dantian, and that should start to actually run up through your microcosmic orbit. And that's the real microcosmic orbit in this medical Qigong tradition. What we just did is a health practice for balancing your meridians, but it's not like a long-term life-changing event, which I feel the one where you generate inner heat and then work it through there, it changes like the structure of your subtle body. More on that, module 1, watch the video. I think I blab about that for quite a long time. So I'm not going to do that here. But if people aren't getting those results, they're like, it's been 5 months and I haven't gotten the heat. Often, if they put the awareness in that little spot, and then imagine like that is magnetizing the energies from heaven and earth, it's more effective than like going out to heaven and earth and then trying to put that somewhere. It's like, I am the spot, and this chi is flowing to me. So that might be useful in that feeling of how to get the chi to root there.
Interestingly, Fajun,
Yeah.
there are like actual exercises in that Barbara Brennan school for cultivating one's heart line, and it's like what you're talking about. You with like through physical exercises, you draw heat and energy into the lower dantian, and then up to here, and then to here, and there's a way that you line it up also.
I remember this, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Really great practices.
They're really great, yeah.
And it's what we'll be doing today, and opening the central channel in the 8 extraordinary vessels model. So it's pretty universal. Like,
Yeah, I mean they're very like qigong in their way.
Totally stolen.
Yeah, kind of.
From us. Okay, Maggie.
I had a wonderful experience, and one of the things that I noticed towards the end in the microcosmic orbit was that in drawing heaven's or Earth's chi up through the back, it got stuck a little bit right in the center of my sacrum.
Mm-hmm.
Like it could have, if there hadn't been a blockage, it would need to come up a little higher into the small of my back. And so that was interesting, just to like notice where it got stuck right in the middle of the sacrum. And then also I found it more challenging to sense and feel a lot of chi in my front body.
Yeah, cool. So all of these exercises, what's really beautiful, like I kind of tend to come at them, especially in classes like this utilitarian, like let's open your governing muscle. But the daily practice is actually where the beautiful thing is, because you learn like, oh, today I'm sensing my back body and not my front body so much. Oh, there's a blockage right here. And all of that sensitivity is like, just the ability to have that is an exquisite training on its own, whether you feel burning sensations in your third eye or whatever, that I think is important. Okay. So that's really beautiful thing to share. Thank you. Question?
So I feel like I'm still trying to understand what you do when a woman's menstruating. That's always been, it comes up for me a lot, because I seem to always be menstruating around the time to do classes. So I'm still, trying to, because I know I really want to feed my kidneys, and I want to feed my dantian, my lower dantian and such. And I don't want to cause menorrhagia and
the party
all that kind
line
of stuff.
is you can do all the practices, but store the chi in your solar plexus instead of in your belly.
Okay, because what I was doing was going to my kidneys.
It's pretty good. It's a slightly different, it's kind of a good question for today, actually. The level of your internal organs and your 12 organ meridians is kind of like, if we were to use that metaphor I stole from Barbara Brennan, like it's kind of like on this third dimensional level, like electromagnetic energy or something like that. The level of your extraordinary vessels, for lack of a better term, we could say is on that like fourth dimensional level. Just as like in terms of feelings, not like we don't have to all go read that book Flatland and try to imagine what the fourth dimension is like. Though I did, it was interesting. So when you store the chi in the kidneys are cool because they're half extraordinary vessel and half regular old organ, but it's still sort of bringing the chi into a more superficial level of circulation, whereas the extraordinary vessels in this paradigm are like the deep level of storage, reconstruction for your body. So what the dantian is about is it's supposed to be this, it's the beginning of the du, the ren, the chong, and the dai, right? That's the, it's like their origin point, is all the moving chi between the kidneys, which means your dantian. synonymous with the Mingmen fire kind of thing. But what it is as well is it's an access to that sort of deeper level of your body. It's one of the best access points. So when we're saying store the qi in the dantian, really we're like store the qi in the extraordinary vessel circulation rather than just in your regular old 12 organs. Yeah.
So then, if a woman is menstruating, meaning in the lower dantian, she's releasing some stagnant buildup.
Yeah, so even though
Then
you'd be putting it on that other
she's-
level, it's still sort of like bringing more heat to that zone. Isn't necessarily like she's cleansing, but you're tonifying.
Right.
So you hit the central channel just at a higher level. Yeah. Some schools say the heart. I'm personally reluctant to bring the qi to the heart, although this is much more of a dantian than this area. But this is also an area that a lot of qigong schools use. So not having a menstrual cycle, I haven't experimented with this. If I had one, I'd have had 10 years of like experience to give you. But next life,
I'll check it out.
look me up, yo.
So then she would store it in the mid region,
Yeah.
solar plexus,
Yellow coat.
and then with the intention that when she's done bleeding, it'll settle down.
Yeah, it's just putting it into your extraordinary vessel circulation. So at this point, it's like there's not a later. Today, actually, we'll be playing with the idea of like making a mystic pearl that stays in your body, and then as you get more advanced in these meditations, you'll actually feel like there's a little lump of something like sitting in your third eye or like in your dantian, and that thing stays, and you can feel it wiggling around in your body. It's kind of trippy, like when you're not meditating. For now, though, it's just like you've built up some energy. You don't want to leave it in just regular old meridian circulation, and so you're telling it to go into the deep level of your body, like it's like putting it into the marrow. So long-term storage. So it's not that there's actually going to be something still sitting in your solar plexus if you do it right. It's just you went into long-term storage, but instead of going through this door, you went in through this door. Does that kind of speak to it? Yeah. And then play with it. And then tell me what your experience is. If that doesn't work, then use the heart and just kind of play there. Something to
You said it as I was thinking.
cool. What else? Other questions or experiences from this little exercise, Heather Lee?
Just from a minute, can you please tell me the name of that exercise we just did? Is it-
Microcosmic orbit.
Okay, and the... Okay.
Oh, that one's in module 1, and it's called, what is it called? Fusing Heaven and Earth in the Lower Dantian.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
When we're fusing, or after fusing, we're circulating the fusion of those elements, or are we, because I've sort of, there's like ways to do circulation where it combines as you're circulating.
Yeah, don't do that.
Okay, so, but be doing it as a second step, it's like the fusion of those, that's
Yeah.
what we're circulating through.
It's basically like you've just built up some qi, and you're just circulating your qi through the organ, through the orbit. So just kind of smile through, feel the energy in your body move through. And then later, what's supposed to happen is that you build up such a surplus of the qi that you'll feel heat in there, and then you circulate that heat, and it burns through specific blockages. And then you don't really have to. No, you have to do a lot. Things you don't have to do are have sex, eat meat, drink alcohol, or eat chili peppers. Sorry. No, actually, the ladies get to still have sex.
Oh, it's someone out about the chili.
Or
But is it because of ejaculation coming
Yeah,
down?
it's-
Could the men
it's
have sex if
specifically
they're not?
ejaculation. Yeah, so if you stay for the second half of class,
Okay.
and you feel confident in that. So like I was able to have sex during this because I had 10 years of going like, I can have sex and not ejaculate for the next 108 days. Like that's fine because I've tested that. But if there's still the like, well you might, or it would feel so good, like it's going to feel painful. There's actually, it ruptures stuff in your inner body. So it's like, it actually hurts if you do it wrong. So, and then that's another reason why this stuff is secret, is because generally you wouldn't teach a student until you put them through significant emotional torment that you knew if they had like the willpower to actually like stick with their practice. No, it's like that's where you hear that thing of like, you know, the teacher jumped out and like whacks him with a stick and then goes and hides. And like, you know, if you quit, then you don't get to learn the next thing, right? You know, if you're like, oh, he hit me with a stick, I wonder what I'm supposed to learn from this. Then like a couple of weeks and you got the secret teachings. Because they know like you can hold it off and not come. You know, even when it's been a crappy day. You know, it's business. Okay. So that was just an aside. Then there's really any question like, you know, should I be circulating or gathering? It's just like that little spot of heat is there, and then later we do those other practices. But so for today, and watch the Module 1 videos. You can circulate the smiling energy is the most basic one, which will just harmonize those two big yin and yang meridians. Then if you can feel chi, like if you do the chi ball thing, you're like, oh, there's chi in there, then you should be able to identify that feeling in your body, and you can circulate that feeling of energy through your body with the intent. So the reason why we do the fusion of heaven and earth before that is so that you have a little extra chi to feed yourself with. So in general, you could just circulate and it would just harmonize however much energy you've got in the body. So this is just combining, tonifying the body, and then circulating. Yeah. And maybe more on the other thing you're asking later might come in.
One more.
Go for it.
I was having a right-left discrepancy.
Stop it. No, what does that even mean?
I actually did feel the feeling of heat, and I was hot and like almost sweaty, and I started to move it through, and it was, and I've noticed this in other meditations for like 6 months or more. My right side, it'll go, sure, cool. Left side, it's like slow and sticky, or not there, or like can't, and I will try to like relax into that side, or let go, or be more feminine, or something. And it, as I say that with like,
I have a strategy to be more feminine. I wind it up as step A.
I'm trying to figure it out. And so
Okay, I'll give you my
I guess there's my answer in my
purely
question.
intuitional Qigong master answer. I hope we have that depth of relationship. Which I actually don't know why I'm answering you this way on a personal level, so it's really just intuitive. You gotta work on your mommy issues. Yeah. I don't experience you as a person with mommy issues,
No.
but if you want to clear that left side, that's what Spirit says. To work on your mommy issues.
Could be a husband-wife in that.
Or issues.
Bum, bum,
Mommy.
bum.
Yeah, issues being a mom.
Mommy issues.
Wanting
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah.
That's not it either. Well, I mean, that might be yours. That one's not. Multiple intuitions. They can all be correct.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing that I get confused on, because my mom and I have a really excellent relationship.
Yeah. I don't know. Think mother in terms of archetype. Okay.
Inner mother.
Yeah. Any other questions on that practice or comments?
Can you fry your brain doing that?
Oh, thank you for asking. So, the version that we did in class shouldn't fry your brain. Now, if you have too much of an issue with energy rising up, like you're prone to headaches, or you get anxious, or you can't sleep, or things like that, then it's recommended that you do the breathing into the dantian part and not the circulation part. Because as some of you know, like massage practitioners or acupuncturists, if a person has a lot of energy going up and you just touch them around their head, their energy goes up, right? You ask them to make a decision, they got a headache, right? Let's go to this great party, it's going to be exciting. They already can't sleep. Don't encourage them, okay? They could do this qigong of sending the heart's qi down. It's okay. But that was such a great party. I know, it's okay. And they can do this part of drawing the earth's qi up will start to open the governing vessel on its own because you're doing that little bit of tailbone, little bit of Mingmen, and then bringing the chi in. But as we'll learn in the previous module, you train this lower dantian first because you want the heavy, hot, dense energy to build the foundation of your pyramid, and you want the cool, clear, and light energy to build the antenna part of your pyramid that talks to, those guys in that one movie with Kurt Russell or whatever it was. Stargate. It wasn't MacGyver, I'm pretty sure it was Kurt Russell. I think he was on the one they made for TV. Anyway, Richard Dean Anderson. That tape, Swiss Army knife. I used to have the haircut.
Thinking of another generational thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in general, if they go up too much, we don't bring them up because they'll get a little schizoid. And then the other one is, if you do so, there are multiple things that microcosmic orbit means, which are all covered in that last class, but let's review them. One means just smiling through these channels and balancing out the yin and yang energy of your body. As you do this, those of you who have taken such courses know there are points for all of your organs on the channel up the back, and there are points for all of the organs down the channel in the front. So as you smile up the back channel and down the front channel, you're like, hey, kidney, spleen, stomach, liver, heart, lungs, blah, 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 into my head. And then you smile down the front. You're like, hey, lungs, heart, blah, blah, spleen, stomach, kidneys, blah, small intestine, blah, blah, blah. And you're just like massaging them all out, and that's cool. Then the second one would be like bringing a little bit of energy through them. So you're actually tonifying and balancing those organs as you bring some chi. And then the third one would be actually generating heat and burning through the blockages, and it makes a lasting change on your channels. It's like a stage change rather than a state change. So that one you have to do under the supervision of a teacher, because if you do keep drinking alcohol or eating meat or chili peppers or too much coffee or having sex if you're a dude, you will fry your brain. So yeah. Fortunately, it requires like daily practice for about 3 months of the meditation on the dantian, and so a lot of people who are going to screw themselves up just don't qualify because they don't do the daily meditation. So it's kind of nice. It's like self-secret. But then some people are really mad underneath, and so they're able to qualify. But then by the time they've got that much heat in their body, it adds itself to their liver, and they, give themselves, like, their eyes just can't stop burning, or something like that. And so then you need to have taken level 1 of this whole training so you know how to fix that liver. That's a good deal. Or go to acupuncture school or something like that. So does that speak to your question? Thank you. Cool. Ote, yeah, go.
I get a lot of visuals when I do stuff like that. I get
Nice.
all sorts of patterns and sacred geometry and that shape, and just, is that distracting from that? Is that cool?
I think it's fabulous.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that, am I getting too heady and not physical enough?
As long as it's not distressing you, I think it's okay. Again, it's kind of like what Phillips was mentioning. You can either be feeling just the repercussions of having brought chi in. What'll happen is you're just focusing on the dantian, but some of it'll come up that back channel anyway. Some of it'll come up the central channel anyway, and so it'll stimulate these upper centers.
Like sometimes with the breathe in, it like changes and I get different colors.
Yeah. So if it distracts you, or if you were doing the meditation, you're like, why haven't I gotten any heat? I see colors every day. Then we might think like, oh, well, you're just siphoning it all off to have a psychedelic experience or something like that. But if you're not having problems in your practice, then I wouldn't assume that. Like you can have psychedelic experiences and build up chi.
Okay.
Good deal.
Okay.
One thing though that is kind of interesting, since we're in an advanced class, you can do these practices on 3 levels. Shen. What is a Shen? Spirit. Yeah, spirit. Let's say just spirit. Qi, let's say energy. And Jing, let's say essence, or like form. So like don't think about like kidney, yin and yang, blah, blah. Just say like form.
Like
or
body.
like materialization. Let's say materialization. Because gosh darn it, I feel fancy. I feel like the students are going to buy my course.
For Jing? or Jing?
No, I
as a
don't accept
material?
Jing as payment.
I just served that to you. Jing as the materialization.
Materialization. In this case. So this is
Sure.
where you run into some of the fun of Chinese-y stuff, is like multiple words mean multiple things. So like in a classic on sexual yoga, they'll use Jing to mean semen, like specifically, like return the Jing and blah, 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 blah. But in a medical classic that they might reference in that text, Jing just means the refined qualities of your kidneys that, you know, leads to the strength of your bones and your teeth and your neurons and stuff like that. So you have to know, like, well, what context are we in? So in this context of the three powers, according to Taoism, there's the spiritual realm, like right next to the unmanifest, that aspect of yourself that can see the nature of reality directly. Then you've got the Qi, which is like energy, which is pretty tangible. And then you've got Jing, which is materialization. But don't think about this, think about the stuff sort of like just underneath that. You can think of as Jing. So as you practice, this is just inspired by your sharing. As you practice and as your students practice, some of them will come and tell you like, oh man, every time we do this, I get all of this visual stuff, you know. And you're like, well, great. Have you felt the thing yet? Or like your feet meld into the earth and you feel, no, but I saw it, man. I really got a sense that like I was part of the earth. They're doing their practice on a Shen level. Okay? And then another one will come and be like, man, I did it up at the land of the medicine Buddha, and like the earth there, like there's something different about the earth. And then I did it down at like Frederick Street Park, and it was cool, but it wasn't the same. And that earth, it was like compact, and it's like, cool. Well, did you feel the part where it's like it felt like you were buried up to the waist? No, but I could feel how different the earth was. They're doing it on the Qi level. And then a student will come and be like, man, I did exactly like you told me. I practiced for 3 months straight, and I didn't miss a day, and it was really fun, and then I felt like I was buried up to my waist in the earth. Great, they're doing it on the Jing level. So your Qigong can be done at all these different levels, and all of them are good, quote unquote, meaning, I gave this disclaimer in a previous class, like when I say good or you should do something, don't NVC me, I just mean studies have shown that there's a potential for you to gain benefit from these practices. And when I say it's bad and you shouldn't do it, it means I probably hurt myself doing that. So, all of those are good. If your students come to class and like, man, every time we do that cloud hands thing, like I get so calm and then I hear this tone, it's like, great, they're practicing on the Shen level. But if that same student wonders why their mind got calmer but they're not getting lasting effects in their health, now you know, because they're doing it with their spirit. They're getting effects on their spirit because they're like attuned to that level. To get them to have effects on their Qi or on their Jing, you'd have to give them specific practices aimed at the Qi or the Jing level, which are not today's class, but there's a whole 12 courses on it last year and online. Because last year is now. Okay, any last yes?
So you could also practice, I mean, you could be practicing at all the levels at once.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. In general, though, just like we've kind of been mentioning with some of these comments, we'll start in this system, in the Daoist system, you start with the Jing level. Because the thought is that like you have to build this foundation in order to be able to do anything cool. In other systems, like you can find some systems where it's like their meditation, their first meditation is like a little dot of light right here in the third eye. And that's like year one, right? And then they'll quote Jesus at you, if your eye be single, then your whole body will be filled with light, right?
Just read that last night.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Happy Easter. You know, and that's a great meditation. And it is, in like the yogic traditions, this is an opening to your central channel, and like, you could actually have that as your only meditation. You wouldn't have to come and sit here all day and learn like the 5 things I want to teach you. You could just, diamond light at my third eye, and you could like accomplish the goal if you were nice to people. And animals, and trees, and worldly deities, and lovable spirits, and your spiritual teachers, and other people's spiritual teachers, and well, that's probably about all. Okay. So all of these, the Sufis will have you start at your heart, right? And they do all their meditation from here. Why? Well, in their logic, because this is halfway between earth and heaven, and so this is the perfectly balanced place to do your meditation. And so, every day, and you never do an energy meditation without a name of God on your breath or something like that, because don't just cultivate energy, cultivate divine energy. Come on, people. So that's like a Qi/Shen thing that they would start with. In the Taoist system, they say many people are in danger of being so heavenly minded they're no earthly good. Many people are in danger of, if you put the attention up, all the turbid chi will rise, and you'll just think, and then get a headache or something like that. Or your physical vitality is not replete enough to sustain higher spiritual experiences, because you spent your teenage years like I did or something like that, and so your body has been weakened, and so the peak experiences you gain spiritually can only be sustained for so long. And what they want to do is they want to actually take those spiritual experiences and encode it into your bone marrow. So that's like your walking everyday experience. And the cool thing about Taoism, I'm a big fan of Ken Wilber lately, personally, with the whole integral theory thing. And he talks about I just love him. I don't agree with all of his theories, and some of them, a lot of good scientists don't agree with all of his theories, but he's got some pretty darn cool theories. And one of the things that's beautiful about him is that he takes pretty much all the different world spiritualities and kind of looks at well, clinically, from the practitioners that we've seen and the masters that we've seen, what are the strong points and what are the weak points, right? So you get some Zen masters who can drop into a state of enlightenment, right? But then they don't take care of their health, and they're actually still a dick to their students, right? But nobody questions their spiritual realization. Oh no, Master Roshi, she's got it, but she still yells at people. And then if you're looking at it just from that lineage perspective, you have to either say the whole thing's bull, or there must be some teaching in the fact that Master Roshi yells at people and sleeps with all their students or something like that, even though she's a nun, right? These are interesting things to consider. I'm not saying that worldview is wrong necessarily. Some people have ridden that all the way to having beautiful lives, right? Some Chogyam Trungpa students watched his behavior and are beautiful, beautiful, happy people now, because he slept with their girlfriend while completely drunk, and affirmed by Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche and the Tai Situpa as a Mahasiddha, a living enlightened master and the transmitter of the Dharma of the West, died with severe cirrhosis of his liver, and a heart attack, at 40-something.
There's a beautiful movie about his life.
On Netflix.
I love it.
Yeah.
This is a real person.
Yeah.
Chogyam
Trungpa, he read the Shambhala, spiritual warrior books, if you've ever
Which is
read
just
those.
awesome
They're
stuff.
an amazing
Great
book.
book.
Yeah.
Can't
So-
remember the children's teacher.
Yeah, so there is an argument where you could say just view that as enlightened activity, that was supposed to teach you something. Maybe more approachable for many of us at this time is to say that you can have multiple lines of development, and you can be expressing different degrees of enlightenment, whatever that means, a yet to be defined term, on each of those lines of development. And really there's nothing that says that that's in conflict with seeing all of your teacher's activities as an enlightened teaching toward you. You can say I don't think I'm going to sleep with other people's partners while completely drunk, and thank you for showing me that, you great Mahasiddha, So the cool thing about Taoism, which is nice, is that it wants to develop ideally all of the various lines of development that are possible in human beings. So in the Taoist tradition, one of the things that's unique among a lot of the traditions is that they say you should have robust physical health, you should be a hellcat in the bedroom, you should be able to leave your body at will and have vast spiritual peak experiences, you should have stabilized the direct realization of ultimate reality, you should have intense social ethics, that are constantly benefiting people all around you. You should be able to hold a job if you want. You should be able to walk away from your job and live in the woods if you want. you should be able to do all of these things if you're a good Taoist. And so that's where they say, in general, you have to start with the Jing level. Maybe because most spiritual people already just want to get the hell out of here. So they're like, actually, step one, into your body, but it hurts in there. Down, get in there, but there was high school, and then that one time I was sick. Remember that? Oh my God, it's birth, old age, sickness, and death. The Buddha said to, I don't want to hear about the Buddha. We killed him on the road. Get in your body. So, it's kind of cool. Okay, question, did you still have it?
I was just going to ask if that Naropa guy who was enlightened and such, would you say that he was working from the Shen Shi Jing levels? Was like if he's teaching enlightenment through getting drunk and having sex with other people's girlfriends, is that him in the Jing level kind of? Would you say?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, to make this not a long story, and then we'll go on a break, but according to the lineage, if you haven't taken that person as your guru, then you can just look at his stuff and go like, wow, that looks like something I would never want to do. Cool. And then they say, spiritually, in our Taoist tradition, there's this cool guy named Li Te Kai, Iron Crutch Li, and I'll tell you his story just quick, although I probably told it in a different class, and then we really will go on a break. Some of us have to pee.
Some of us couldn't.
Jing level, yeah. So Iron Crutch Li was this Taoist adept, and one of the things, if we ever get to it today, that we'll talk about is one of the things that Taoist adepts are supposed to do is build a body that can travel outside of this body, and then it goes to cool places and like gets celestial energy, and then comes back to this body and like walks around full of celestial energy. And that's kind of cool. So Iron Crutch Li, who must not have been called that at that time, was doing this. He had his disciple, you know, and he's got a little like tent or hut out in the woods, you know, and he tells his disciple like, okay, I'll be gone for like 7 days. It's gonna look like I'm dead. Okay? You have to stand here and make sure nothing happens to me for the next 7 days. Do not leave. If I'm not back in 7 days, something cool is going on in the celestial plane. I don't need this body anyway. Okay, you're free to go. Okay. So he's off, you know, doing whatever. The student's there. Day 6.5 comes, and as often happens at day 6.5, some messenger comes from his home village and says, like, you know, your father died, or it was something culturally that like you can't quite get out of. Like, oh, dad died, you have to be present at the funeral, or else like, you know, all your Confucian values are like, you know, slashed to hell or something like that. So he's like, but master, but my dad. It's day 6.5. You know, that's close enough. And he goes off, you know, and then of course the master comes back. But meanwhile, all the forest critters have been nibbling away at his body, so he can't get back into his body because the thing's been nibbled away by forest creatures. And so he goes off searching and finds this old drunk on the side of the road, like recently deceased and fell into the ditch. And he's like, well, I guess that's the best I got. I got to get into a body quick, or the silver cord to this realm will be severed. And like, you know, so whoosh, you know, and like he's not gonna like go take over somebody else's living body. But he's like, oh, this one's still warm. Great. You know? And then,
well,
you know,
that drunk had good fortune. I mean, it could have been an evil spirit, and he got
right?
a Taoist master.
It's perfect. All of these things are perfect. You know, and so he hobbles off to the family, you know, like funeral with his crutch and his like crippled drunk body. You know, and everybody's like, what the hell is this hobo doing here? Get out of here. He's like, no, I'm here to see my disciple, you know, and like eventually like does all these magical feats, you know, and then the family's like, oh crap, it was a Taoist immortal and we tried to kick him out. Oh no, you know, they try to make him this. But the moral of the story is that supposedly the appearances that beings take is meant to test you to a certain degree. And traditionally, this is kind of more Taoist and Buddhist spirituality, but it's kind of fun because that's where all of these alchemy things come from. Traditionally, you're allowed to say, you know, I don't think it's right for me to drink that quantity of tequila. That goes against what you taught me, Rinpoche. But you're never allowed to say in your mind, according to tradition, God, Rinpoche, what a fucking hypocrite. Like, drinks tequila all day. Because you have no idea what's going on subjectively for them. So all you want, like, wow, Rinpoche certainly seems to be blimping out in the later part of her spiritual career, you know. I'm going to really watch my calorie intake, or my carb intake, or something like that. But you can never say, like, wow, Rinpoche, what a lazy fatty, you know. Like, she's really letting herself go. Because you don't actually have any idea, like, what's going on. So they say. And then they say, and this is all predicated, of course, on the idea that, like, Rinpoches and immortals and stuff could, like, exist on some spiritual level. But then it becomes important in the traditions, because if those things exist, and you think negative thoughts about them, they're a very high karmic object. And so the weight of your crappy thoughts is like twice as much as thinking of that about a random person walking down the street. Except, who's a random person and who's an immortal nowadays? So, like, you know, you have to think like, well, I don't think I'm going to shoot heroin. You know? But if you see somebody doing it, you know, you also may think like, I got to get this person in a detox center. What the hell? Like, you know, but you're supposed to hold your mind back from going like, oh, what a crummy, stupid person shooting heroin again. And there's that little slight line of you're not allowed to judge anybody, but you have to have high discrimination about what you allow yourself to do and what you allow people around you to do. So, it's just to say that there aren't, like in a class like this, you can't make an easy answer about like, well, here's what Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche was doing. He was doing this and this, because we actually don't know what his subjective experience was. If hypothetically, you were to take him as like an ordinary dude, like a human dude with experiences of subtle energy realms and causal emptiness realms or something like that, then you might say that he failed to develop certain elements of like that Jing level of like sexual ethics, bodily sort of integration according to, you know, desires and things like that. And like there's all kinds of research that says like being a monk is terrible for being able to handle young, hot Western gals throwing themselves at you the minute you come to Colorado. So you could say that like from a hypothetical perspective, and if you weren't like a Buddhist or a Daoist, but if you were a Buddhist or a Daoist, you'd have to think like, maybe he was teaching me that all this spiritual stuff has actually made me weak in my this level or this level or this level. So it's kind of a interesting, wild ride. And then they say that your teacher actually is just a reflection of you. So if you want your teacher to stop drinking, then you have to purify how you toxified your own body in your infinite previous incarnations. But that's a sort of a stretch for this class, but do it anyway, because it's the most important thing that you could ever learn, probably better than any of this crap.
Can I share something that I felt like I learned, like about like reflecting on Chogyam Trungpa is like, I feel like he was teaching to us about in the West that, you know, you can be enlightened and be imperfect. That like we're all messy and we're all human and we do silly things and that's still perfect and good, and that there's a basic goodness at the center of all beings that we all have. And I feel like that's what I kind of learn when I look at his life.
I love it. So, let's take a 10-minute break and you can share with each other what you learned at any time about anything or not, and have some tea. Please do give me dibs on the bathroom, and also be back here by 35 after according to this clock. Wait a minute, can I even get there?
I know.
It's asleep.
I can get there.
Open the door for us. Let this little grounds out.
Out, please.
It was actually, I pretended it was like little birds singing. It wasn't the worst it could have been, but
They were like really robots.
oh, right. It's sort of relaxing.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, you know,
And it's slowly dying. And my dear was still goodbye. You hungry?
That spot I get to
It's
see you all.
cookies.
That's like the dinner.
I can't do cookies right now. I can't do maple sugar right now.
Sure? Because I'm gonna see you in 5 days.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Vibrance?
Yes. Like someone who just been out to space for a really long time.
Yes, fun, huh?
You think I'm gonna have, you think I'm gonna have blue and need a blue? Yeah. I'm excited.
Well,
It's Easter. I have self-control.
would you like any water?
I have no mental control until I'm not.
It was like powdery. Did Maddie make it?
You'll get some, so it's in.
Right. Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Everybody was right on. Yeah. I noticed interacting with people. They're like,
Hello.
hi. I'm like,
You have a very nice little setup. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Continue, I'm Sandra. I've seen your face.
hey, Kat, gluten-free?
Gluten-free.
Those two teachers, oh my god. Did
Yep.
you see the way
And
Gary
vegan.
did like 10 things and he kept the class moving and he had like bells to ring,
They are
and
vegan.
poems to read and candles to light and he had us move and he had us talk and it was really good.
I put a little sugar in it.
Yeah.
It's sticking together, but they're mostly sweet.
Whoa, what's that?
But pure stevia. Not refined.